Plate Motion Engineering Internship, Day 8, Writing Design Decisions. A reminder that you can access your digital resources in the lesson brief of every lesson. Even though activities are available in Amplify lessons, you will be working in the Futuro Workspace. You can find the Futuro Workspace in your Amplify main menu. In this lesson, we process and apply feedback about our design proposal evidence in order to write our design decisions for our final proposals, in which we explain how the structure of our design supports its successful function, structure and function. Activity 1, connecting to Futuro Workspace. You'll read and pin today's message, writing design decisions. Then you'll add to your daily message notes by creating a new header with today's date and message topic. Students, open Futuro Workspace and read the daily message from the project director. Remember that the new message, titled Day 8, Writing Design Decisions, should be at the top of the inbox. Add notes at the top of your existing daily message notes with the new heading, Day 8, Writing Design Decisions. All the notes you take for this message should fall under this heading. Ensure that you are clear on your task for the day, writing the design decisions paragraphs of the final proposal. Students, take a few minutes to look over the message titled Feedback Proposal Outline. Open the Feedback Proposal Outline message and read it. Processing outline feedback. In her feedback, Hannah only commented on the background research you provided. However, remember that your design decisions paragraph should include multiple pieces of evidence from different sources. Let's review the types of evidence to use. Types of evidence. Review the different types of evidence described in the table. Concepts learned that are related to the criteria from reading the dossier, from iterative tests. What does the dossier tell you about how each sensor type and placement affected average warning time? What did you learn about average warning time using Tsunami Alert? In Hannah's feedback, you'll find tips for how to improve your proposals. Now we'll think about some questions to keep in mind as you analyze her feedback. Analyzing feedback letters. What does the feedback suggest about whether you have enough evidence? What does the feedback suggest about whether your evidence is related to the specific criterion? For example, did you use evidence from the dossier and from the Tsunami Alert test to show that you know how much each sensor type and placement affects the average warning time? What are other suggestions for improving your use of evidence? These questions should help you identify feedback from Hannah that will help you with your writing your final proposal. You will first read the feedback letters carefully, making notes on how you can use the feedback to write your design decisions paragraphs. Then you'll discuss your ideas with a colleague. Your notes can include questions you might have or items you want to be sure to include in each paragraph. You should also make notes on how you can strengthen your proposals. I'll go back and project the analyzing feedback questions as you work. Reread Hannah's feedback letter and take notes about ways that you can improve your use of evidence. Students, take several minutes to read and make notes. Soon, you'll analyze your feedback in groups. First, let's practice analyzing some feedback, thinking about our 3 questions. Is there enough evidence? Is the evidence related to the specific criterion? Are there other suggestions? The purpose of this discussion is for you to share the background research evidence you submitted to the project director, as well as to analyze what kinds of changes you need to make in order to write a successful proposal. When you discuss your feedback with your groups, you should follow the same steps we did for practice. Sample outline feedback. Use the example feedback to model referencing the 3 analyzing feedback letters questions and analyzing what kinds of changes to make in order to write a successful proposal. Does this example of feedback on the right indicate whether there is enough evidence? You might respond yes, because it says not all examples are specific. There was more than one example, and she doesn't say that there are not enough examples. Is there evidence specific to the criterion of warning time? No, there's some extra information that is not needed. The examples about cost or false alarms need another example that is specific about warning time. Are there other suggestions for improvement? There is a reminder to use the dossier and Tsunami Alert tests looking for things specific to how the type of sensor and location affected warning time. Did Hannah think you gave enough evidence? Did she say the evidence relates to the specific criterion? Did she have other suggestions? Students, use your outline's background research and discuss your assessment of Hannah's feedback using the analyzing feedback letters questions as a guide. Let's discuss how analyzing your feedback letters helped you think about ways to strengthen your proposals. How did you identify evidence that was not specific to the criteria? Did some of the examples actually belong in a different criterion's background research? Perhaps you included evidence for one criterion that would be more appropriate for another criterion. How did your discussion help identify new, specific examples that could strengthen your proposals? Now you should be ready to apply the feedback by writing the design decisions for the final proposal. Your outlines included design details, data analysis, goals, and comparisons to other designs, not just background research. Be sure to incorporate all this evidence because multiple sources of evidence will help as you write your final proposals. Revising design decisions. Today you'll begin your work with final proposals. You'll start by writing your design decisions paragraphs using a form like this one. You will use your notes and feedback from the project director as a guide. Remember, we have a proposal rubric that tells what Hannah is looking for in strong proposals. Let's look carefully at the section on scientific communication. Review the Proficient and Excel's qualities. Proficient uses some topic-specific vocabulary, uses formal writing style somewhat successfully. Excels uses topic-specific vocabulary clearly and appropriately, uses formal writing style successfully. When you're writing a paper for science class, do you write differently than you do when you write an email or text message to a friend? Writing must be adjusted to address each type of audience appropriately and effectively. In your proposal, you need to convince your audience that you've considered research, evidence, and feedback in your optimal design. Using topic-specific vocabulary helps show that you know the science behind your design. Here are some words you might use in your proposals: convergent boundary, criteria, divergent boundary, earthquake, evacuate, iterative testing, landform, plate boundaries, transform boundary, trade-off, tsunami. The sample proposal in the dossier is about a design for a toothbrush. Let's find out how an outline turned into the paragraphs we see in the sample proposal. This example is the same one Hannah described in the scientific communication video from her intern days. This sheet has the outline on the left and the finished paragraph on the right. The color coding shows where information in the paragraph came from. Students view the outlines to paragraph sheet. You want your final proposal to be convincing, demonstrating how and why your design is optimal. An outline of facts and examples is not as convincing as a well-written argument. In other words, you will want to make your reasoning about your choices clear to people who are reading it. Outlines to paragraphs. Students, use the outlines to paragraph sheet to discuss how to turn an outline into a paragraph. Let's look at the data analysis section of the outline first. Where did the information from the outline end up in the paragraph? Students, use the outlines to paragraph sheet to discuss how to turn an outline into a paragraph. Let's look at the data analysis section of the outline first. Where did the information from the outline end up in the paragraph? Our design has a clean mouth rating of 84%, which is better than our goal of 80%. Shows how the final result and the goal were combined into one strong sentence. The comparison to another design shows up in a later sentence, shown in green. Our cheaper design used nylon bristles, $1.20 per toothbrush, but the clean mouth rating for that toothbrush was only 53%. The finished paragraph uses lots of strong evidence from the background research section. Which evidence was left out because it was not relevant to the criterion? Bamboo handles are better for the environment. All the information from the data analysis should go into your paragraph. Include at least 2 strong pieces of evidence from the background research. If you identified evidence that was not in an appropriate criterion or you decided it wasn't strong enough, you do not need to copy those pieces of evidence to the final proposal form. You'll now transfer your outline responses into the final proposal form. Pin the proposal outline form using the pin icon in the top right corner. Open the final proposal form, then transfer the data analysis and background research sections from the outline to the final proposal. Students, transfer your outline responses into the final proposal form. If you're working in a group in the Futura Workspace, only one intern in the group needs to fill out the form. You'll need to transfer each criterion's details from the proposal outline form to the correct criterion text box on the final proposal form. You may want to retype some of the information. If you identified evidence that was not in the appropriate criterion or have decided it wasn't strong enough, you do not need to include it in the final proposal. Review the outline notes you copied to decide which parts you'll want to write about in your design decisions paragraph. Write your 3 design decisions paragraphs. turning your outline notes into complete sentences. Students, remember that the other resources you could use while writing these sections, such as the proposal rubric, the tips, help with your proposal message in your inbox, is a resource you can use as well to find phrasing that might help you in writing your final proposals. Today, you are only working in the design decisions section. You will have time to work on the introduction and the conclusion sections in your next workday. Students, check the daily message notes in the Futura Workspace for any unfinished deliverables. If you have not finished, continue working on the design decision so you're ready to finish the proposal the next workday. Activity 2, After Hours Work. After hours, you'll return to your daily message notes to see if you have any unfinished tasks. If you haven't already, you'll finish the design decision section. Students, check your notes for after hours work. End of day 8.